Hello, everyone. So, Economics Harbor welcomes you to the lecture series related to basics of economics. So, in this lecture series, we will introduce you or help you to take those baby steps towards the field of economics. So, we hope that this will help you in making the concepts clear, and we'll be glad to take up your queries as well. So just leave a comment below and our team will get back to you soon. So let's begin with the first lecture, that is the concepts of economics and significance of statistics in economics. So what basically is economics? So one of the main contributor in the field, Alfred Marshall, he says that economics is the study. It's a study of man's action, right? In the ordinary business of life, in the sense, actions or choices which a person makes to fulfill his or her demands and needs given the limited amount of resources. So the keywords here are the choices and the limited resources, and this is what the discipline of economics studies. Robbins, another economist, he states that it is a science that studies human behavior as a relationship between the ends and the scarce means which have alternate uses. So how do you satisfy your needs, or how do you fulfill your demand by utilizing one particular commodity differently? This is also studied by the discipline of economics. So what are the components of economic activity? Now, these are the three major questions which are asked and which are also the central problems of an economy. That is, what to produce, how to produce it, and for whom to produce it. So for any decision to take place, you need to answer all these three questions. In other words, what are you going to produce? And what are the resources which you will be using to produce that good? And what is your market base? So to decide or to make a choice regarding your production, so you need to answer these three questions. Another few concepts which are important are, what is the consumption? When you always talk about consumption and production, what is consumption? So consumption is whatever the consumer buys, to satisfy his wants. So there are three basic components. That is, one, the presence of consumer. There is some kind of a purchase taking place. And why is that purchase taking place? Because of satisfaction of your needs, right? And here, the constraint which a consumer faces is nothing but your income. So income is the scarce resource. So given your income, the consumer buys or consumes a commodity to maximize his satisfaction. And that is why we say that the consumption of a good is a function of income. Another part is, what is then production, right? So production is the process, right? Production is a process of converting raw materials into final goods, right? So this is a process of conversion of raw material into useful or final goods. And in this case, the decision which is made is related to allocating your scarce resources or scarce factors of production, right, to maximize the total output produced. So in case of production, the scarcity here is the factors of production, right? So what are the factors of production? So the factors of production are those things or humans which help in the production process. And in economics, we have 4 factors of production. First is your labor. Second, land. Third is the entrepreneur. And fourth is your capital. So using these 4 factors of production, a production process takes place. So what are the incomes? Now we've talked about consumption, we've talked about production. Now we're going to talk about distribution. That is to complete the cycle. What are the incomes which are earned? So these factors of production, right, are paid something in return. And what are these? These are the incomes, right? So labor gets wages, land gets rent, entrepreneur gets profits, and capital gets interest. So these form the income component, and hence income then affects the consumption level and our cycle is complete. So this is like the most basic study of economics, and this is the decision regarding the allocation of scarce resources is what economics teaches you. But then, what is statistics? So statistics are basically the quantitative informations, right? Whatever facts you have, whatever findings you have, you then quantify those data and form statistics. Now remember that data is a huge or is a broader function or a broader component. Statistics is how you refine that data to analyze or make decisions is what is studied by statistics. Okay, so now, in this case, right, we know that Bowley defined statistics as the numerical statements based on the facts, right? So those facts determine the statistics. So we have statistics which can be studied in both plural and your singular sense, right? So in case of plural now, we define statistics as an aggregate or collection of numerical or quantitative expression of facts. So this is the plural form of your statistics. So what are the characteristics of such plural forms? First being your aggregate of facts. Let's take this example only. If you just tell me that there are 50 students in a class, that's just a fact, right? There can be nothing determined out of it, or we cannot conclude that what does it imply, right? But if we say that there are 30 girls, right, and 20 boys in a class, we can imply this that girls are now taking more part in the education process, right? The proportion of girls is higher than boys in a school or in a class, and so on. The literacy rate amongst girls is increasing, and so on. So these facts, or these, this can be the implication of such facts. So a fact stating 50 students is nothing, and it does not form a part of your statistics. But clearly stating that there are 30 girls and 20 boys forms a part of the statistical process. Why? Because you can imply something out of it. Second is that your statistics is numerically expressed. Okay, so it is expressed in terms of number, right? So that is why we say that statistics is a very objective kind of a study. Third is that it is affected by multiplicity of causes, in the sense that your statistics, does not depend on one source of information or one factor alone, right? The statistics depends on various other factors. Like in this case, in this example, this may be determined or this may be affected by the area you are taking into consideration, the family background you are taking into consideration, and to some extent, even the schooling which you are taking into consideration. So statistics is affected by multiplicity of causes. Fourth aspect is that it has a reasonable level of accuracy in it. Okay, in the sense, because it is objectively collected, it is a yes or no, it is clear cut facts. So statistics is considered to be accurate in nature. Fifth is that they are placed in relation to each other, right? In the sense that if the data cannot be compared, or it cannot be analyzed, there is no use of that data. And that is why it is the statistics which helps you in comparing the data or comparing the regions, right? Sixth is that it already has a predetermined purpose, right? For example, we go in for census. For example, we have NSSO. That is because they are collecting the data with one particular purpose. Census collects the data just to identify what is the population level, what is the sex ratio, what is the literacy ratio, and so on. So they already have a purpose in mind. And that is when your statistical data is collected, right? Seventh, that it is enumerated, or estimated. Until and unless the data is estimated or analyzed, it is of no use. So statistics helps you in that. Statistics helps you in estimating the nationwide data, in other words, it helps you in analyzing both the macro and the micro data. So that is another reason. Last is that it is collected in a systematic manner, that you cannot go in for randomly collecting the data as per your own choice, right? We have this, like if the census is being collected, has a predetermined, objective in mind, that we have to analyze the population of India, right? So you cannot just go on randomly interviewing the Indians living outside India. No, that is not that, right? Giving a reason that even they are Indians, it is not enough. Census is particularly to calculate the population level in this particular boundary, and that is why whenever data is collected, it is collected in a systematic manner, right? To, efficiently utilize your time, right? So, second aspect is like when statistics is used in case of singular sense, right? Singular sense will imply that you are presenting your data, right? You are presenting your data, say, in a graphical form, or you're collecting that data, organizing it. So when statistics is, estimated or analyzed in a singular sense, right? It means that there is some kind of a process which will be followed up of it, right? Stage one. What is the first stage? That is collection of data. First step towards a statistical analysis is collect the data. Be it you're collecting an already published data, that is your secondary source, or you're filling in the questionnaires, or you're collecting the data by, going yourself. So first stage to any statistical analysis is collection of data. Stage two, it is organization of data. Now, if you have calculated your data, then you write that data down, or you fill in the data. That is your organization of data, so that it becomes clear. Like you have a questionnaire, you have this, okay, this is the person, this is the sex of the person, this is the income level, and so on. So second stage is to organize that data well. In the sense, in one particular Excel sheet, you get the entire list of your respondents, you get entire the sex ratio, or the, the different sexes of the individuals, and so on. That is what is your organization of data. Third is the presentation of data. This is very important. Whether you present it in your tabular form or the graphical form, that is your presentation of data, just to make your data more appealing. If you just hand over the Excel sheet with all the responses, it means nothing. But once you classify the data in your data tables or graphs, then it will make some sense. Fourth is, then you analyze the data, right? Then what do you perceive out of the information you're getting out of that data is the fourth stage of your statistical process. And fifth is your own interpretation, which is like the most important aspect of all. And from this stage, the role of economics becomes very crucial, right? How do you interpret your data is dependent upon the field you are studying, right? And this is where economics comes into picture. Moving on. So what are the scopes, or what is the scope of statistics say? First, that it is used in government agencies as well. You know that different government agencies calculate or get the statistical data to make policies for the country, for the development of the country, right? Second is that even businesses, right? It is very important to get statistics to make decisions effectively, in the sense that to reduce your losses or minimize your costs to maximize your profits. So this is how businesses make use of statistics. And then we have economics, right? In economics, you know that majority of the laws are based on numbers. And these numbers and these data are provided by statistics. So with this, we come to what is the importance of statistics in economics. First is that it simplifies complex data into simple forms, that is your tabular form or your graphical form. So this helps in understanding the meaning of data. Second is that it is a quantitative expression of economic problem. So if we just say that the poverty level is very high in India, this will be a very subjective statement unless and until it is backed by some facts or some data. And this is what helps, economics. So statistics gives that backing. Statistics gives that proof, that no, there is poverty level, the poverty is increasing and we need to make policies. So this is our data, this is the hunger index, this is the development index and so on. And now we need to focus on these issues. Then you have intersectoral and intertemporal comparisons. That is that your statistics, they help, like every economy is working collectively. You cannot isolate one sector from the other, right? And this helps, this is like how statistics helps economics. That that, okay, like for example, agriculture and industry, they have huge interdependence. They have huge backward and forward linkages. And this is understood only if there is a statistical data which can prove it. So statistics helps in such, identifying such dependence between sectors. And also the cause and effect relationship. Now, like we studied earlier, that your consumption is a function of income. And is your income, can we say that is your income a function of consumption? Right? That is a big question mark. But no, this is not the fact. There is consumption is your dependent variable and income is your independent variable. And how do we study this? With the help of statistics. Next point is the construction of economic theories and economic models. You must have heard about various modeling techniques or, analysis of data. RBI is, increasing the interest rates or decreasing the interest rates and so on. So this is because they are analyzing the statistical data, which is helping them in making certain economic decisions. Then you have economic forecasting. So in the newspapers, we know that IMF, projected the Indian economic growth or development at this rate, at X and X, Y, and Z rate, and so on. So this kind of a forecasting is done or is assisted by statistics. Next is the formulation of proper policies. Obviously, unless and until you don't know about an issue, you will not make a policy, appropriate policy. When your statistics give you a picture that, okay, there is a very low sex ratio, only then the government came up with the policy of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. So based on those statistics, the government is able to take appropriate economic decisions. Last, we have economic equilibrium. So that, like, just to know or just to avoid any kind of recession or depression and to maintain the economy at an equilibrium level, this can only be done when we have appropriate statistics with us. Unless and until we don't have the statistics, we cannot calculate the equilibrium level in an economy, right? But then what are the limitations of statistics? First is that, again, it is so subjective. It is based on numerical aspects. So it does not, consider the social aspects of a society, right? It does not consider that. It just gives us the information that sex ratio is low, but it does not answer the question why. So this is one limitation of the study of statistics. Also, it is a study of aggregates only, in the sense, what is the GDP of an economy? This much. What is the interest rate? This much. But it does not tell you exactly that this is the inequality rate, or this is what is, deficient in your data, right? That every individual does not, goes through the same thing, right? There are differences in perceiving, in, getting the benefits and so on. But statistics does not consider those minute differences. Next is the homogeneity of data and essential requirement, in the sense that it has, like we studied, that we have a predetermined, objective in mind, right? So the statistics will only restrict yourself or restrict you or the surveyor to that particular objective only. It will not let you wander around. So that is one limitation of statistics, because once you start wandering, you might, get crucial information. But statistics does not allow you that, right? Then results are true only on an average. We say that Indian economy grew by this percentage, right? But is it always true? No. We have, we are not considering, farmer suicides. We are not considering the rate of unemployment. Means there is some deep down problem, but statistics does not understand that. Then without reference, your results may prove to be wrong. That if you cannot, just base your decisions only on, a limited number of respondents. You cannot do that, right? And that is why there are chances, that your data may be flawed as well. Sixth is, it can be used only by experts. A layman does not understand such statistical measures. Layman will not understand what is regression, what is correlation, what do you mean by average also. The layman does not do that, right? Will not be able to do that. So that is why the study of statistics is only restricted to experts, right? And then it is prone to misuse, in the sense it is very easy to change or modify your data according to the needs. And that is why statistical data is prone to misuse. And these are the limitations of statistics in economics. So this was the basic chapter or the first chapter we do in the study of economics. Okay, I hope you liked it, and we are promising you that we'll be sharing more videos soon. So see you soon, right? Take care and all the best. Study hard. Bye-bye.